Welcome to Knicks Buzz. I'm your host, CT. And joining me again, the one and only Bill Pidto, MSG Networks. How are you, Bill?
Good. CT, how you doing? Good to be on with you again.
Yeah, I'm really well, thanks. Always pleasure to talk to you, Bill. How was your All-Star break? Did you get a rest?
I did. It's kind of interesting. They always call the All-Star break the season's midpoint, but the reality is we only got 23 games left. We're basically at the three-quarter pole, which is hard to believe. There's not a lot of time left.
Yeah, exactly right. Indeed, a lot of storylines, to talk about, for these next 25 games and possibly beyond. Um, the trade deadline passed. The Knicks didn't really make any moves there. A lot of reports there weren't really the moves to make, but there was some news yesterday about the Kemba Walker situation. Now everyone's keen to see what's going to happen at point guard. That bears watching. What are your thoughts on the situation now with the lineups and the point guard? Possibility with Derrick Rose returning.
Well, it seems like Tom Thibodeau made comments after practice yesterday that he's probably going to go with Alec Burks. When Burks starts at point guard, the Knicks are 8-8. They've actually, when he starts at point, outscored the opposition. I don't know, something like 20 something points per 100. But the thing is that becomes kind of a misnomer to me because they build the leads and then they can't hold them. So I think the key thing here potentially is if Derrick Rose is healthy, and he apparently got through practice well yesterday. Hopefully he'll get through today and be able to go tomorrow, is that Rose is out there with the game on the line. I really believe, CT, that if D Rose doesn't get hurt, this is a whole different storyline right now because they need him. They have needed him. Last year when he played, they went 24-11. Their whole season turned around after they got Rose from Detroit. They're 3.5 games out of 10th as we speak, going into the final 23 games. Hopefully Derrick Rose can have the impact that he had last year. But, it's going to be, look, the Knicks last year finished 16-4. They have 23 games left. I think they, to get to 500 for the year, they have to finish 16-7. So a lot of work to be done for sure.
Yeah, it's a tough schedule, Bill. And I completely agree with the Derrick Rose situation, how important he is to this team, and who knows what this season could have been. I'm thinking that he'll prefer to keep Derrick Rose on the bench, which is why he's looking at Alec Burks, and possibly Emmanuel quickly even later, just to keep Rose fresh. Yeah, like you said, to finish games out because he's the team's best closer, and I think he showed that a lot last season.
Yeah, also of note to me, and while Emmanuel quickly had one of the best games he's had all year against the Nets, he is much better off the ball with Derrick Rose running the point if you use last year as your indication. Quickly seems to be struggling when he has to run the offense. Derrick Rose is going to do what he did last year, then quickly can be more comfortable off the ball and hopefully return to his form from a year ago.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. Some other fan favorites, Bill. Deuce Mcbride, he's getting reps regularly now in the G League, but putting up solid numbers. And the Cam Reddish situation, since we last spoke, the Knicks swung that trade for Cam Reddish. How do you evaluate those two young prospects?
It's hard to say. I mean, Deuce McBride is undersized. And here's the reality for everyone, and we all know this. Tom Thibodeau does not play more than 10 players. If Walker is out and RJ is back, and he's supposed to be back, and Derrick Rose is back, you got 10. You got starting lineup of Mitch, Randall, Burks, RJ, and Fournier. Second unit of Rose, Quickly, Obi, Noel, and Grimes. There's no room for Reddish, and there's no room for McBride. So I don't see those two guys getting a crack. Some people want to see Reddish get minutes, but for Reddish to get minutes, who are you not going to play?
Mm.
They had me say, okay, well, maybe he doesn't need to play Burks. Burks is a veteran. We know it, but Burks is going to be starting. So I don't see with this 10, and he loves Grimes, and deservedly so. I don't see how there are any minutes McBride or Reddish.
Yeah, you touched on that. Grimes, I was about to say, I guess people didn't really factor in his emergence as well. And look, the Cam Reddish trade looked like it was just a move for the future. He has another year on his rookie contract, and I think they're going to make some decisions in the summer, as to the rotations and clearing some of that, rotation spots with the veterans, like you said. Um, Mitchell Robinson's another fascinating story, Bill. He's a free agent, unrestricted free agent. There was a lot of interest at the trade deadline, reports say. Mitch is going through a tough situation at the moment with reports that his father is missing. But Mitchell Robinson's season, he's been one of the most consistent players. A young player, up for the contract renewal. What are your thoughts on Mitchell's season and his potential future? With the club.
Very, very, I think, challenging situation because of the fact that he's just not that durable. He's banged up a lot. Look, when he's on his game, he's helpful. CT, we also got to bring up the fact that Nerlens Noel, who has played only 25 games, looks like he's going to be good to go. And I think one of the things that we haven't really focused on enough is how the lack of availability of Noel has also impacted this team, because last year he was a force. He's one of the top defensive fives in the whole league last year. He's only played in 25 of their 59 games.
Mm.
And if he's back, that helps Mitch, and you get the low post defense, the protect the rim D that the coach loves so much. And I don't know what to do about Mitch Robinson's contract, to be honest with you. I don't know if you can commit. What's he going to get? $14 million a year times 3 times 4? I don't know. That's a very tough call. Very, very tough call. Obviously, when he's healthy and focused, he's really good, but it's not all the time.
Yeah, that's right. And reports are that there's plenty of teams interested, as there should be. He's a young player with some upside. Like you said, it's just a matter of how Mitch can continue to grow as well. But he's been consistent for this team, and he was an asset brought in from the Carmelo Anthony trade, some ways back. And a lot of fans just want to see either him stick, and break that Charlie Ward curse and be that rookie that signs a second contract that was drafted, or I guess the team not lose an asset for nothing. So that brings up a sign and trade option, in the summer, for Mitch. And, if teams are interested, the team could look that route.
Well, it'd be a shame to lose him for nothing. Obviously, they're thinking about keeping him, or they didn't like what was offered prior to the trade deadline. It would be a real shame if he ends up leaving and they don't get anything back. So hopefully he stays healthy the rest of the way, 23 games. Again, Noel has been so inconsistent with his availability. His training camp was wrecked with the hamstring / knee. Then it was the knee. Then it was the foot. I just think he's huge, Nerlens Noel. If you remember that one win that they had against Milwaukee this year,
Yeah,
he was so good against Giannis Antetokounmpo. So, hopefully he's good to go. Hopefully Rose stays healthy. And, listen, they're 3.5 games behind the Hawks for 10th. They got to get hot. Maybe they can do it,
Yeah, look, it's a crowded East, and it looks like there'll be some teams that'll drop. Indiana's thereabouts, playing young players. Washington, Atlanta, the Knicks' recent arch rival, is around lurking. You bring up some fascinating topics in terms of, the fan base is, somewhat divided, Bill, on prioritizing development, with these 23 games, and also pushing for the play-in. We know Tom Thibodeau's here, and all signals point towards the New York Knicks will try and make that push. They'll probably use the first 5 to 10 games just to see where they're at. Are you more in favor of a particular, play with this? Should the Knicks try to maximize what they can out of these development minutes, or should they just push to try and get something out of the season?
See, where I'm lost on the argument about the development is, who do you want to see play more, and what are you going to see that you haven't seen already? Obi averages about 15 minutes a game. You're going to give him 20, 25 minutes, and what is that going to get you? That's my question. Grimes has been playing an awful lot. Quickly, when he is not off his game gets a lot of minutes. Kemba was not playing that much. Maybe D Rose is going to take up more minutes. I don't know. McBride, I think Tom Thibodeau is not convinced at this point can help the team. If you're going to play Reddish, then you're going to have to sit RJ or Burks, and Burks, as we mentioned, is going to start. So I don't. You tell me, CT. If you give Obi more minutes, what are you going to get? You know what you got in Jericho Sims. I just don't see what more minutes is going to get you. You know what Obi is. Obi is a force off the bench in transition, not great in a half court set. You think there's more to him if he gets more playing time? I don't understand that argument all the time.
Certainly not to win games, but I just feel like the fans, obviously we rewind back to the last 3 games before the All-Star break and some heartbreaking losses. And the natural fresh reaction is that, okay, we're not winning anyway. Let's try and see some plays. Maybe a give or take, Bill. Maybe Randall's minutes reduced a little bit, or if it's a blowout, Randall out of the game, for the fourth, or some give or take a little bit. Which I think, the closer we get towards the end of the season, Tom Thibodeau will be a little bit more aware of that. RJ Barrett was injured in that blowout as well, and that had some fans quite heated.
Now, the other challenge you have here is the schedule. You got Miami at home, you got Philly at home, and then you got a 7-game road trip. And that, that takes you to the middle of March. Mm-hmm. So maybe you go full bore for that playoff spot and then reassess, 9 games into this, which would give you about 14 games left maybe to play the younger guys. I really think they're going to come out of the gate here and go as hard as they can for that 10th spot.
Yep, yeah, I agree with that. And the All-Star break, Bill, it brought a lot of attention to the format. Did you catch much of the All-Star break? Do you have any ways on you think that we could breathe fresh life into it? With the dunk contest, the 3-point contest, and the game, the format. What would you like to see?
I hate to say this, I'm not into it anymore. maybe they got to tweak it, so I don't even watch. I guess people were critical of the format. I know Obi won the slam dunk. Steph Curry was incredible in the game itself. I don't know. I've just seen too many of them. I really don't have an opinion. I just don't think. I know when I was younger, I used to watch all the time. I'm just not that interested in it anymore. Maybe that's terrible to say, but that's just where I am with all of it.
No, I mean, a lot of people share the same sentiment, Bill, and that I guess that shares light on where it's at. But also for everyone in the industry, it's that much needed break for you guys to be able to switch off, turn off, and just spend time with family and things like that.
Yeah, I'm not complaining about the week off because it's going to ramp up here starting tomorrow night. They got Miami, then they got a home and home with Philly, and then they go to the West. So, CT, buckle up, pal. It's going to be interesting.
It is. Yep. It's going to be fun as always, and enjoy the ride with your colleagues, the best in the industry. Monica, got Wally, Bill, Mike, and Clyde. And just before you go, Bill, you're a big fan. We talked about it last time. Have you had a chance to read the book from Chris Herring, Blood in the Garden?
No, I want to, but what, CT, we also got to mention that while we were away, Clyde Frazier got into the Hall of Fame as a broadcaster. I don't know if you saw that.
Yep.
I want everybody to know that who's watching, because now Clyde's in there as a player and a broadcaster. And the thing about working with him and Mike, and now both of those guys are in the Hall of Fame as broadcasters, is that they're Hall of Fame people as well. And good for Clyde, good for him. He's going to, at this rate, have his own wing of the Hall of Fame. The Clyde Frazier wing. What else can he do? But congratulations to him for sure.
Congrats to the GOAT. And hey, don't sell yourself short. You're collecting awards with MSG as well. The best coverage in the NBA. I'm grateful to get it down here on the League Pass, and many fans around the world. Very, very grateful. It's been a pleasure to catch up, Bill, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
CT, thank you so much. Go Knicks, and love to be on with you whenever you have a chance. Great to see you again. Okay.
Yeah, likewise, Bill. Take care.